Saying that, I want to acknowledge that I'm here. It's an honor to be in your traditional territory with your leadership, with all of your people. And it's already been mentioned, and I want to mention again, that I also acknowledge all of those leaders that are no longer with us here today. Those people who dreamt of this time. Those people who led you as Kitsumkalum people to this point where you are today. In all of our nations, we have those kind of visionaries. We have those people who are strong in our cultures, in our language, who know where our traditional territory is. You as Kitsumkalum people, you know where your traditional territory is, just as I, as Kitsumkalum, I know where is Kitsumkalum. Today, British Columbians call it the Arrow Lakes. Kukumatanam. Today, British Columbians call it Kimberley. Today, British Columbians call it Cranbrook. That's where I'm from, is what's known as Cranbrook, in case you were wondering. Close to that area. But we call it Alkiskapcheet. And I know that you have your names. Your own names right here for this area. You know where your traditional territory is. And that is what you are going to be working towards as you move down this path of treaty making. It's that recognition you've always had about your own traditional territory. But now that recognition coming also from the provincial and from the federal governments. That recognition that yes, this is the Kitsumkalum traditional territory. And these are the lands that Kitsumkalum will have as Treaty 7 of lands. So I want to congratulate each and every one of you, all your families, for the work that has gone on so far. I want to congratulate the leadership and those that lead your treaty team, Alex and others that work with you in the treaty teams. I want to congratulate you on that. Because, you know, as the Chief Commissioner, I see what's going on around the province in this whole treaty process. And sometimes it makes me really sad. And then I see other times. I see what your negotiating team has been able to bring to the table. And I'm feeling very, very relieved, very hopeful for our people and for this process, for the recognition of our traditional territories and how we are going to have access again to our own lands, to our resources. Because you know, for the longest time we haven't had that access. We have been relegated to what my mother used to call these little corrals. She called them little corrals, these Indian reserves that we've been living on. So I see that this is the road that you've chosen for yourselves, that you're moving down, that you're moving towards. And I want to congratulate you on that. When I started as Chief Commissioner 3.5 years ago, as I said, I was a heavy heart. I was looking at the process, seeing that, yes, we had the Tawasin Treaty had just, and in fact, I think it was my second day of work, I got to witness the effective date for Tawasin. A year later, it was Malnuk. And we're going to hear about that. We're very fortunate that Robert is here today with us to talk about Malnuk. But we saw so many roadblocks for many of the other tables. And one of the questions that I was asked many times was, well, why is it taking so long? What did it look like? Why? it's just about 20 years. Why is it taking so long to get these things, these treaties done? And one of the problems that we saw as a treaty commission was that the federal government, in particular, but just as maybe not as much the provincial government, but also they were involved in this, looking at this whole process as a program. They had tried to corral us again into looking at this negotiation. It's supposed to be a negotiation. And we as a commission, we identified that what needed to be done was we needed to shake up the status quo. We needed to get this back onto a playing field where there's actual negotiations. So last year, in our annual report, you probably, you may have heard of this, that I'm the one who said, either get her done or shut her down. And there was a lot of people wondering, like, why would I say that? And really what it was to shake it up. Because we have the ability, we have people that are capable, people that are more than willing in the First Nations, like you have here with your treaty team, with your community members, to reach a treaty, to have direct access, to make your own laws, to have direct access to your lands and resources. And we needed to get this beyond the program thinking that was going on and get it back on a level where we can have the treaty negotiations. There are many other negotiating tables that are wanting to be at the place where you are now. And they are working towards that. Now, it also means change for you. And I recognize that. Sometimes change is, well, it's scary. I know it's like that for me. But then change also brings many opportunities. And change, once we understand what it is and we can agree, we have a place that we want to get to, and we're going to get there together. You work together towards that end goal. You have each other. Then that change is not so scary. I'm really impressed with the information that is being provided to you. And I hope that each of you will take that information and will share it with all of your family, your extended family, particularly your family who do not have the privilege of living at home within the traditional territory, so that everybody knows, everybody can understand what it is. What is in this agreement in principle? What is in this that we're working towards a final agreement? There is still time for you to do that. There's as much time as you need in order to fully understand what it is you're getting into, and what it is that you are leaving for future generations. Because it is, I'll tell you, it is something much better. It is what previous generations have hoped for us. So, the team was introduced to you, the people who are going to be going out to talk about this, and I hope that you will take total advantage of that. I remember that one of the big decisions that we had, because we're not as far along, and I'm talking now personally, for our own treaty table at the Kitsumkalum. We're not to the point yet where we can actually look at a letter of understanding for an agreement in principle. We're getting close, but we're not quite there yet. But we had another big decision to make a few years ago, and it was referred to briefly by Gerald. We had a former Indian residential school sitting on what the federal government transferred it back to us as Indian reserve lands. And we had a big decision to make about what we were going to do with that building. There were many of those of us that went there. I went there for 9 years myself. There were many of us, my generation, that said, knock it down. That place was so horrible, just knock it down. Get it off the face of the earth, and that will help us heal. But we also had elders who worked with young people, and it was the young people that brought the message around that said, there has to be another choice. How can we turn this something that was so negative into something positive? And that's what we ended up doing. But it was because we took the time, we took 2 years of going into everyone's homes, sitting around the kitchen table, sitting at meeting halls, bingo halls, whatever it takes, just sitting wherever people want to talk about it and just talking about it. So I know, I have personal experience of how difficult it is to bring about change and to bring it about in a way that people can feel very safe about it, about how you have those kinds of discussions, answer the really hard questions. And that, I see, is the team that you put together here, that you thought that. And I encourage you, as I said, to take full advantage of that. There's a lot of discussion. There's good information here. There's some of the questions that I hear and I see, like you're taking it on directly. Things like taxation. You know, as I want to just call us as Indian people. I mean, I never know what the heck terms to use, but as Kitsumkalum and as right now we're still considered Indians under the Indian Act, right? And we supposedly have this benefit of having tax relief. Well, that's fine if you've got a whole bunch of business going on in your community where you can take advantage of that. But I tell you, there's no businesses in my community at St. Mary's. My so-called tax benefit, it really doesn't exist. But what we do have now is we participated in the First Nations HST, or it used to be the GST. We took over taxation because we wanted taxation revenues, whatever we could generate ourselves and whatever was generated for any business coming in, like on the resort. And now we're using that money for things like, we just opened a new school last week, or 2 weeks ago, and our GST money went into that. So, rather than seeing it as a disadvantage, that there's something you're giving up, which really analyze that. Does it really exist? And so the information that you've got here, all of this information, it's the kind of information that is really the best that anyone can do in order to fully understand where it is that you're going down this treaty road. So I want to again say thank you very much for inviting me to be here. I'm very moved and I'm pleased to see the kind of work that you're already doing, and I just encourage you to continue on this. And I encourage you to, or before I say that, I also want to recognize all the young people that are in here. And I encourage you as young people to take the time to sit with the elders and to sit with those that have the traditional knowledge and to really understand what it is that's keeping you, what is it that's in your soul here that is Kitsumkalum in terms of your language, your culture, your land, and how you protect that and carry it into future generations for all those generations that are yet to come. Thank you very much.